Hello, Mr. President-elect. I wanted to make a video addressed directly to you in order to share why continuing Ukraine aid is an obvious win-win for America and her people. Here are the reasons. Point number 1. The Russians are not interested in negotiating anything with anybody. Not nuclear missiles, not invasions, not trade, not the Olympics, nothing. Russia broke the ceasefire agreements that they made with both Georgia and Ukraine separately after invading both countries, and 20% of Georgia remains occupied to this day. Multi-party, internationally overseen negotiations with Russia were tried twice during the Minsk Accords, whose terms Russia continually violated before invading Ukraine again in 2022. Starting wars and then crying negotiations when their military goals are not realized is how Russia keeps taking land from other sovereign countries. So the takeaway here is that Western diplomacy never has and never will work with modern Russia. Point number 2. Putin is an autocrat, and he understands one thing: leverage, and the lack of it. Mike Waltz, the man who may be your national security advisor, echoes this belief. Weak leaders keep Putin in business, and your predecessors, Presidents Biden and Obama, were notoriously weak on Russia. Right now, Putin feels safe broadcasting naked pictures of your wife, the First Lady of the United States, on Russian national television. However, you, as the President-elect of the United States, have a unique position to get leverage on Putin and force him to do what you want, all while making billions of dollars for American citizens and companies. Point number 3. Russia is already crumbling badly, and any Russian win is a loss for America. Putin is afraid to mobilize more troops, which is why he's got North Koreans in the trench lines now, who, by the way, are actually eating dogs. Their economy is struggling under the weight of sanctions, rampant inflation, and just unimaginable amounts of corruption. We're making great money selling United States gas, coal, military tech, and all sorts of other things to Europe. But a renewed Russia means a strong trade competitor with us, one that also sponsors the global terror that has already started pulling American troops back into the Middle East. Understandably, Russia wants the US to stop sending weapons to Ukraine to get some breathing room before their next plot. But here's why you should not let that happen. Point number 4. Ukraine aid is a huge moneymaker for the United States. As Speaker Johnson said on TV just a few months back, 80% of the value of the aid sent to Ukraine goes straight back into the American economy, which is a boon for companies in every state of the union. A revitalized defense industry means more jobs for Americans. For example, Lockheed Martin increased the workforce in their Arkansas factory by 25% thanks to Ukraine aid. This is all in accordance with the 2017 national security strategy that your administration enacted. The war in Ukraine is also the best advertisement that money can buy for American military tech. We provided Ukraine with 38 HIMARS. They used them to great effect on the battlefield, and then what happened? Poland ordered 500 of them. Since Russia invaded, our EU and NATO partners are ordering more from us than ever before, breaking records year after year after year. Point number 5. Ukraine aid also makes America's military stronger. The weapons that we're sending to Ukraine have generally spent decades gathering dust in stockpiles and warehouses, so the billions being reinvested into American factories and stores just means that we are restocking our own shelves with the latest and greatest military equipment and technology. The fact that many of our weapon systems and equipment are being battle-tested and performing exceptionally well against the Russians is also invaluable from a military intelligence standpoint. Point number 6. It's great optics. Supporting Ukraine's victory is one of the easiest ways for the United States to become strong again on the world stage. It is no coincidence that the dictatorial regimes around the world have been acting up lately. Many of them are supported by Russian troops, Russian money, Russian intelligence, or a combination of the three. Deterrence by force is the best way to handle leaders like Putin, because A, everybody else, so China, Iran, Hamas, North Korea, the Houthis, will take note. B, knocking out a major player of this axis will weaken all the others. And C, and this is the big one, there's very little risk in doing so. Russia isn't strong enough to kick Ukraine back out of Kursk, and if I had a dime for every time the Kremlin issued a threat that was never acted upon once some sort of red line was crossed, I would be able to fund the Ukrainian war effort by myself. Point 7. This all brings us to outcomes. Ukraine is not Afghanistan or Iraq, and the Ukrainians can absolutely win this without American or NATO boots on the ground. The Biden administration's cowardice is a major part of the reason that the war has lasted so long, but you, Mr. President, could bring victory to Ukraine in an incredibly short amount of time. There's a clear light at the end of this tunnel. A well-established American military-industrial machine, the Ukrainians defending their sovereign borders from the Russians on their own, and a Ukrainian economy that can actually pay us back. Americans are tired of wars, but make no mistake, Russia is waging a hybrid war on us right now, one that we are not winning. I've spent 15 years of my life studying Russia, and I am not alone in the conviction that dawdling, under-delivering, or tying Ukraine's arms behind its back will lead to catastrophe. All of this is why, Mr. President-elect, I believe you should continue investing in United States defense, jobs for Americans, global security, and Ukraine's victory. Where the previous Democratic administration was frail and frankly embarrassing, you could be decisive, focused, a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. Where the EU is disorganized and effectual, you could single-handedly keep the European continent safe from Russian terror. You could be, and I am not exaggerating when I say this, the literal savior of the free world, or you could be the little loser that Putin thinks that you are. The choice is yours. Thank you very much for your consideration. God bless America. And Slava Ukraini.